The abbreviation for chain is CH, and the symbol for chain looks like this. Begin by making a slip knot and putting it on your hook. I've got my yarn tail, which is the cut end, and the working yarn, which is the end that is attached to the ball of yarn. Take the working yarn and pass it over the yarn tail, and then pass that working yarn just underneath the loop that you made. So now you have created kind of a pretzel shape. Then insert your hook underneath that strand, that working yarn strand, and you can pull on the working yarn to create the slip knot on your hook. Hold the hook in your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, hold it in your right hand. If you're left-handed, hold it in your left hand. There are two main ways to hold a crochet hook. The pencil hold, like you would be writing with a pencil, and the knife hold, as if you were using a knife. The yarn is going to be held in your non-dominant hand. So left hand holds the yarn if you're right-handed, and right hand holds the yarn if you're left-handed. Now I need to tension the yarn through my fingers. How do I do that? Well, the main thing is I want the yarn to be coming over my index finger, but what happens with these other fingers may vary. Different people like to hold it different ways. I tend to thread the yarn through my fingers like this, up and down, in and out. Some people like wrapping it around their pinky. Some people wrap it around their index finger a couple of times. Whatever is comfortable for you, you'll figure out what works for you. One more thing now, I need to control what's coming off my hook. The way I do that is I take my middle finger and my thumb of my non-dominant hand, the one holding the yarn, and I pinch the work that's coming off the hook. That way I'm free to drive the hook with this hand while holding the yarn and controlling everything with this hand. You can see that I can actually pinch it tightly enough that I can let go of the hook. I'm going to set up to do my first chain by holding the hook parallel with the face of the hook. That means the open part of the hook facing me, so it's looking right at me. The working yarn is threaded through the fingers of my non-dominant hand and coming over my index finger, and the yarn is behind the hook. I have a loop on the hook. That first slip knot I made is on the hook. Now I'm ready to do a yarn over, which is pushing back with the hook. I create a yarn over. That's just a loop over the hook. Notice that for right-handers, that yarn over strand is going from the upper right to the lower left. Or if you're left-handed, it's going from the upper left to the lower right. That is a yarn over. Now I need to bring that yarn over through the loop on my hook. To do that, I'm going to rotate the hook 90 degrees down. So now the hook is facing down, and I pull it through the loop that's on my hook. Now remember, I'm controlling it with my middle finger and thumb. So there we go. There's my first chain. I make sure that I've created that chain. When I pull it all the way through, it's on the shank. I don't want to leave it down here. I want to create the full diameter of the stitch by bringing it up here to the shank. Let me do that again. Start in the neutral position, push back to create a yarn over, and then rotate the hook and pull it through. What happens if I don't rotate the hook? Well, let's see, I push back and I pull it through, and I can't pull it through because I didn't rotate the hook. The face of the hook is still facing towards me. I have to rotate it down like this. And each time I do that, my fingers have moved down. I need to move them back up and reposition. So each time I do a chain, I'm resetting just a little bit to keep control of what is coming off the hook. My goal is to create an even chain. It's going to take some practice. Learning to control your yarn and your hook are the first steps to learning to crochet. This is the front of my chain, which looks like a lot of V's on top of each other. The back of my chain has a lot of bumps. If you're a knitter, you might think these look like knit stitches and these look like purl stitches. If you're not a knitter, that's fine. Just recognize the front of your chain. The other thing you need to know is how to count chains. My slip knot did not count as a stitch, and the loop on my hook never counts as a stitch. So if I'm going to count the chains I just did, I'm not going to count that slip knot. I can even make that a little tighter if I want so I don't get confused. And I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. The loop on my hook does not count. Sometimes instructions tell you to work backwards or to count backwards. So it might say to work into the second chain from the hook. To do that, I count in this direction. I don't count the loop on the hook. I would count 1, 2, that would be the second chain from the hook. And then I can keep counting 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can count in either direction, just know not to count that loop on the hook. If you'd like more instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for more ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.